Hello, welcome to the National Parents Union special election night edition of our nightly restorative check-in. I am here joining our amazing Dr. Enjolie, our co-host, for this special election night edition. Because of everything that everybody, I think, around the world is feeling regarding our election and regarding all the things that are happening, both with a pandemic, but in the United States, because we are the world leader. There's a lot of concern, I think, around the world and in the United States about what's happening with our election, what's happening with all of its social injustice issues, because we are the world leader. And so it's not just about America and about the countries that make up our United States and Puerto Rico. This is about the world. And so because of that, Dr. Enjolie wanted to bring together amazing people who we know, who we love, to come and share how it is that they're doing, but also to give us some palabra, give us some words, share their wisdom with us. So thank you for joining us for this special night. Our special edition. I am Marisol Quevedo. I am from San Diego, California, born and raised. I am the mother of Camerina, Emilia, and Sofia. I'm the daughter of Irma Navran. I'm the grandmother to Isabela Luna and Cynthia Iliana, with a grandson in the oven, waiting to make his way into this world in February. And I am the granddaughter to Camerina, Alejandro, Francisco, and Carmen, all immigrants from Mexico. And it's because of them that my vote and my voice in these United States is so important. And so, and it's because of them, all of my family, all the names that I've mentioned, that I have the honor of being here with you. And I recognize that this voice that you hear, it belongs to them as well as me, and it belongs to our future generations. So with that, I'd like to have Dr. Enjolie introduce herself to us. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for taking on the Friday night show. I'm so excited to be with you.
Me too. And this is actually, I think this is our first time co-hosting. And I haven't yet had you on my show. You already know I'm waiting for a special reason, to bring you on. But it's just lovely to kind of share space like this with you. And you gave me more credit. Like really, the show was your idea. And I was like, yes, I agree. And I was happy to call on like a lot of my folks, right, to participate. So for those of you who don't know me, right, I am Dr. Enjolie Laferrie. Right now, I appreciate that MPU always honors my title, but I'm just Enjolie. I'm physically in Arizona in this beautiful Sonoran Desert on Autumn land, but originally from Southern California. So my background is that my father is Afro-Cuban. We are Taino and Arawak. My mother is from Guatemala and we're Maya. Some of you have met or seen my siblings because they've been on my shows. I'm a mom to a beautiful soon to be 21-year-old daughter. I trip out every time I say that. And some other identities that are particularly important to me is that I'm also a widow. I'm also a member of the Siwa Patli Collective. You're going to have actually two people from the Siwa Patli Collective here. The Siwa Patli Collective is they're my family here in Arizona, and we focus on Indigenous families, and we say that we support them from womb to tomb. So you'll learn more about me here in a little bit and more about the rest of our guests. But as Marisol said, we want to encourage you all to kind of follow our shows if this is your first time meeting up with us, right? We met every Monday and Wednesday. Marisol is on for the check-in. On Fridays, I'm on for the check-in. And usually at this point, we start with a breath pattern titled 478. That's one that we've carried over. So other aspects of who I am are that I'm a psychologist and a hypnotherapist. And this breath pattern helps us all relax, right? If you're having trouble sleeping, it is a breath pattern to utilize to get you back to sleep. I often use this as a breath pattern. I talk about it like to arrive, right? To kind of get to one meeting or to one event to the next. So the way that it goes is you inhale for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 7 seconds, and then you exhale for 8 seconds, and we do that 4 times around. I will count it out for you. I really encourage you to close your eyes just so that you're not visually distracted when we're trying to concentrate and get into kind of this meditative space. That which passes through our visual field distracts us the most easily. And if it's your first time, it can feel a little awkward. I always feel like the first time my breath got all caught up, right? Just stay with it and then try it again the next time and it'll feel better. But many of you here are pros. All right. So I always have to get myself settled. There we go. So go ahead and take a natural breath, just inhaling through your nose, exhaling out through your mouth. And with your next breath, inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Take a big breath, going back to your normal breath. And just pay attention to how you feel. Generally speaking, I can always feel this pretty chill, kind of relaxed sense kind of come across everyone. All right, good.
I really thank you for doing that. When we do the show, we are always we're leading the breathing technique. So there's something very meditative in the counting that I get, but the difference that I feel. So thank you for that. Are you ready to get started? And I'm super excited because this is so different than what we normally do, right? That's why this is a special edition. So are you ready to bring our people in?
I am. Let's see.
Okay. We'll go ahead and get.
So, yeah.
Are we missing?
There we go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. So I want you to know, because we didn't say this when we were in the waiting room before, but you were legit hand selected to be with us. We were very thoughtful about about what the purpose of this time was. And the purpose of this time was we're really hoping to bring some joy and some peace and some hope and some inspiration, and to give people a legit time out from the insanity of what it is that's happening in the world around us. And so I want to thank each of you, really, on behalf of myself, my family, and my ancestors, and my future ancestors, for you to agree to come and join us. So Enjolie, do you want to go ahead and give the prompt? And then, as we've stated, so we have a question for everybody that we asked them to prepare for. And then it's really free flow. So we have this time. If you want to unmute yourself and comment, this is your time. So this is our young adult and our parent panel.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I want to continue to extend the thank you for y'all joining us. So if you could quickly introduce yourselves, definitely tell us where you're from, because we wanted to make sure that we had a good representation across the country. Tell us how you and or your community are feeling about this election, or share a practice, share an offering as far as how you are coping or dealing with this situation that you think could help other folks. So who would like to start?
I'll jump in and start. So first, I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to be a part of this. I'm going to steal a page out of Marisol's book and just give a shout out to those who provided me a legacy, and that's my mom, Lynette Monteleone, and my father, Joseph Monteleone, and those that will carry on my legacy, my daughter, Antonia Monteleone and Michelle Monteleone. And before I get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to Marisol, because whether it be personal or professional, she has always been a person in my life that has reached back and brought me with her wherever she goes. And so, Mari, I thank you. And it's such a pleasure to be a part of this broadcast. My name is John Monteleone. I'm an educator. I'm from Lorain, Ohio. We're about 30 minutes west of Cleveland, Ohio. So you'll see a lot about Cuyahoga County tonight during the election. But we're a very diverse community. We're about 45% Hispanic, 20% Black, and the rest will be Caucasian. But how we're feeling as a community is, I hope, what is a microcosm of the rest of the United States. This administration has done nothing for us as a community. The major employers of our community are the school district in which I work for, which is fully remote. So we have students that can't come into the confines of their classroom. We have teachers that are teaching from their homes and from their kitchens. We have mothers and fathers who have been invaded by us as educators and are practically our co-teachers throughout this remote phase. We have our medical community that is underserved, and they don't have all the materials that they need to do their job. And then the rest of our community is basically service workers, which many are in the service industry. In the community in which I live, there are more elderly people than there are young people, and they are either furloughed, out of work, or shut down. We used to be a very busy community. We used to be a proud steel factory community. We used to have Ford as a major employer in our community. Both the steel community, steel business, and Ford is no longer with us. So, back to my original point, this administration has done absolutely nothing to advance the life and health of our community. So we're very democratic in the way that we think, and we are voting that way, and you'll see that on the map. And that's pretty much a synopsis of where we're at here in Lorain, Ohio.
Thank you, John. Yeah, it's and probably emblematic, right, of so many other places. Thank you for getting us started. I actually wanted to maybe bring in, I see her talking, actually, Carmen, I don't want to surprise her, but Carmen's actually out in Phoenix doing Feed the Polls. And because of that, I want to give her the opportunity to share in case she needs to run. So yeah, Carmen, let's go ahead and have you jump in.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. As Enjolie mentioned, my name is Maria del Carmen Parracano, based out of Phoenix, Arizona, with Sana Foods. I'm part of also the Sivapacti Collective. We have been out here at one of the polls in the Maryville area in Phoenix, providing plant-based meals to the community members, and we just are wrapping up providing our 2,000 meal. So we've been out here since 7 a.m. Cranking them out. We have our awesome team that we had here. And so the poll here so far is there's still a crowd. So people are still waiting to cast their votes. But I just wanted to share, acknowledging my ancestry, my lineage. My family comes from Texcoco, Mexico, which is right outside of Teotihuacan, outside of Mexico City. And then I also, from my father's side, we're Raramuri from Cuauhtemoc, Chihuahua, and really just trying to help the community heal through plant-based foods, and that being culturally relevant to my lineage, using food as medicine, and being able to help share that with our community here. We were fortunate to be invited to provide these foods to this very specific area that is very, very much in need of the support, very much in need to have their voices heard as well. and so we collaborated with feedthepoles.org to be able to provide this food for everybody today. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me. I'm a mother, wife. Today's actually my 8-year wedding anniversary, and so my husband and I have been out here with everybody tonight.
I'm
Sharing.
shaking my head because this is the perfect way for y'all to celebrate your anniversary.
This is the way we do it. You know that.
You know.
And so just wanting to put that out there, and just thankful for the day. Thankful for my family, my children. I'm a mother of 4. Youngest is 2 years old. Oldest is 7. And so we're making stuff happen. We're making change happen. And so I'm happy to be a part of it. And thank you for having me part of the show.
Thank you, Carmen. And, I wanted to also, I thought you were a great follow-up to John, because both of you are talking about like the different groups, right? The different constituencies that you're representing. And even though, John, I heard you say kind of more elders, right? You talked about our aging community. You also talked about the educational community and students and kids, right? This is another side of kind of what is the city of Phoenix, right? And kind of that foot-based traffic, and at least a little bit of foot-based traffic that we have in Arizona. We don't have that much, but that the working class folks. Who else would like to jump in and tell us either what you're experiencing or whatever offering you have for our audience today?
I can go. Hi. You go, young lady. You go.
Oh, are you sure? I can.
Go ahead.
I can
Go
wait.
ahead.
Y'all are so polite.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Carmelina Rerucha. I am the daughter of Marisol Rerucha and Daniel Rerucha. I'm from San Diego, California, born and raised just like my mommy. As far as how I'm feeling during this election, I'm very nervous. I heard some words of wisdom from Mrs. Kaya, who will be on later with the wisdom group. And it really did calm me down quite a bit. But my stomach has been in this ball. I spend a lot of time on social media and have heard from the younger generation, younger than me, how scared they are. And it's just very scary. I don't know how else to say it. I deal with a lot of anxiety, so I think that might be a huge part of it. Of why it's so much scarier than it actually is. Like Mrs. Kaya said, it's just a moment in time. It will pass. We'll be okay, leveling. But I'm scared. I'm scared for my friends, for my family. I am scared for my little sister. I'm scared for my brothers, my dad. So I hope with talking to you guys, hopefully that can settle a little bit. Like I said, those words from Enjolie and Kaya actually helped a lot. And that breathing exercise was wonderful because it centered me. So thank you. And I'm also really excited to be in this group with you guys.
Camarina, can I ask you a question? And I want to ask it because to help you, but also to help us understand, when we're anxious and we would just say we're scared, but we don't label or name what we're scared about, then it feels like the fear is like just this big old monster that's over everything, So you just said you're scared for your family, your siblings, right? Your community, different people. Can you name one thing that you're scared the most over or scared the most about?
I am scared. Oh my goodness. I'm scared that people that I love about will be attacked or come after just because of the color of their skin. My biggest fear. I have never had to deal with any prejudice against my skin because I am so white. I'm light skinned. I've never had to, but I have people who mean the world to me that have to deal with that type of stuff, and to have seen videos and photos of people being ripped away from their families for several different reasons from people that should be protecting us is beyond terrifying.
Thank you for your vulnerability, Camarina. And although maybe you didn't expect to reach this level of emotion, the good thing is that it's released, and it's released just with you being able to kind of share, this is what I'm afraid of. And you're getting all these comments, right, of people saying that they are with you and that they feel the same way. So you're also normalizing that emotion, that experience for us. And then when you are brave like that, all of us, right? When we're brave like that, then people speak up and they say, hey, me too, and then we don't feel alone anymore, right? So Dorian, somebody who wanted to be on the show, I'm understanding from the comments, that, it's an eye opener for a lot of us, and that most of us, I lost it. Well, that for the most part, we aren't ready, right, for this harsh reality of kind of fear of hate and racism. You're getting support also from Judith, that's thanking you for being brave and for validating our fears, right? And so that's another thing too, that's really important. When somebody is vulnerable, also give them feedback, because it feels like I'm trying not to cuss. It feels like you're exposed. There we go. It feels like you're exposed if somebody doesn't give you feedback. So, right, tell people how they're impacting you. Camarina, how do you feel now, just after sharing?
Lighter. Like you said, not as scared now that I know I'm not alone. And other people feel like that, but to be told, like, through the comments, like, hey, I hear you, I see you, is good. But I just want I want our brothers and sisters who are having to deal with anything to know that, like, we hear them, we see them.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sure that they feel seen. In fact, you're continuing to get more comments. I want to make sure that we get in some of our guests. Carmen, I know that you shared, and I
just want to jump in super fast. So what you did, Enjolie, by asking her to name her fear, even though those, like, I'm not a doctor of psychology, right? But that is something that any of us can do with our loved ones, is name your fear. And you saw that allowed Camerina to really get into her feelings, and it allowed her to name and release. And so I just wanted to go back and hit that. So teachable moment, forever the educator. So thank you for that technique, and that it's really a communication skill. And this is part of what this special edition is about. So thank you.
Yes, and all I was going to say is, Carmen, I know that you may need to dip out, so if you do, go ahead. And any of you, if you need to dip out, go ahead, because I know you're standing there at those lines with the phone in your hand. So thank you for joining us. Bye, Carmen. Maria, Carmen, however you know her. It depends on what phase of life you know her. And
I know her as Carmen. I know, so Camerina is my daughter. And I just thank you. Last minute, she was able to come on the show, and what a gift. Yes. What a gift that you have given everybody that's watching. And I think more importantly, that you gave yourself with Enjolie's support. And you're about to get a gift in Bernita's voice. Bernita is an MPU delegate. She is a powerhouse in Michigan. She has her own Facebook Live show. But Bernita, I just want to jump ahead and tell you, thank you for the gift that you are giving my daughter. And thank you for the gift that you're about to bestow upon all of us that are listening.
Yeah. So, like Marisol said, I'm the Midwest delegate, one of the Midwest delegates for the National Parent Union. And I just want to reassure people that no matter what happens, there's always some good that comes out of bad. And life, I don't care how much it looks like it, life is going to shine a light. And that light comes sometimes in small little places where now we have how many delegate shows on MPU due to a pandemic, right? Think about the positive things that have happened in the midst of all this turmoil. As a Black person, I hate to admit it, but trauma has become my norm. So in this moment, trauma feels very familiar. But I never want to negate the trauma that other people are feeling or experiencing, worrying about us. And I want to say thank you to everybody out there who are feeling that and accepting the fact that this is not right, right? This is not right. What is going on in our country is not right. It's not right that brown and black babies are in cages. It is not right that brown and black bodies are falling on streets daily. But what I do want us to understand and recognize is that in the midst of this, we still have one another. And there's an inner strength and an inner turmoil that pulls us to a place of triumphant victory, even if it looks like small victories, right? Even if it looks like families now sitting at dinner tables together who never sat at dinner tables together. Even if it looks like this young lady on this live admitting that I'm not going to stand for this, right? I am going to make a change, even if it means spilling out my emotions on this live chat across the country. So what I want you to do is brace yourself for loving you, loving those who are around you, and doing the best that you can to make the world a better place. Because we all got plenty of people. I don't care who's out there saying what they're going to do or what they're not going to do. We have a force that's called love and that's called compassion and unity that nobody can take from us. Even in the midst of the hurt, even in the midst of the trials, even in the midst of the turmoil, it hurts. My daughter came down here when we were preparing, and she came and showed me the phone. I haven't looked at the election all day because I don't want to look at it, right? Because it's too familiar. 4 years ago, I remember sitting in our office and the men in our office breaking down and crying, like two grown men, a white man and a black man, crying about who was elected, right? And so in that is something that we have to realize over these 4 years, some great things have happened, and it's happened to us because it made us rise up. Baby, whatever is going to happen, it's making us rise up to be some victors and to stand up and realize that we got power inside of us from a place that we don't even recognize sometimes, right? So with that being said, did you want me to share the poem now, Marisol? Okay, so I have a poem. For those who don't know, in one of my other worlds that I work in, I'm a poet, and so it's called "May You." May you see something in your life so meaningful and fabulous that you never hang your head down or spirit again. May your days and nights be as bright as the happiest moments you remember from your childhood. If you had none of those moments, may you experience them now. May your heart know peace and discard the pieces of trouble too troubled to let go of or get rid of. May this life you live be a walking, breathing testament of love for yourself and self-care and care for others and caring for yourself and letting go and breathing in peace and filling every breath of that peace and fulfilling every crevice of your innermost being with that peace. May peace occupy your being. May the peace you feel carry you through the rest of your life. May you rest in this life. May this life not cause you any more unrest. May you not be arrested by fear or pain or depression or fear of freedom or thoughts of death or anger or bitterness or ill will. May your will be pleasing all that is good and God and wholeness and love and peace in mind. May your mind know promise and hope and faith and joy and the ease of mind. May that ease of mind be willing and able to ease the minds of those who you encounter. You will encounter others. May those you encounter be able to relate to you and your passion soothe their pains. May you, may we, may this life not be able to ever break us again. Bless every mind that has ever contemplated fear or revenge or depression or suicide or turmoil.
Thank you so much, Bernita. Wow. Yeah, like it's like a deep breath. I'm gonna actually or like I want to take a deep breath is the response. I want to read Kaya's comment because you might miss it, but she's powerful truth and words. And thank you so much, Bernita, for your wise and deeply moving words. Camarina, Kaya said to you, thank you for sharing your authentic self and trusting us with your truth. And I will start to pass along the comments coming from the audience, but I didn't want to interrupt you, Bernita. I wanted you to just I wanted to be like blessed by your moments, and by what you shared. And so thank you for sharing from your heart that way. Max, I'm aware of you and wanting to bring you in, but yeah, Marisol.
I just want to jump in really quick because the gift of words and the gift of poetry that you give, Bernita, there is so much power, and it is literally, your words are my sermon. Like your words are my version of church. And I haven't gotten your book yet, but Bernita does have a book that's out, and I can imagine just the power of it. And if you feel the connection, please, Bernita, please keep pushing your work out, and please keep gifting us with this gift the Creator has given you. And thank you for sharing your words. So I'm gonna turn it back to you to turn it over to Max.
And actually, I want to say, and Bernita, put your information in the comments. So for all of you, if any of you want to be reached, please throw your, however we can contact you, websites, email addresses in the comments section. Max, and certainly not last, but certainly not least, please tell us how your world is being impacted by this election and the people that you represent.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Bernita. Thank you, Camarina. Thank you, John, for sharing that and letting me part of this moment. Listen, my name is Max. I have lived in Arizona, Chandler, Arizona, most of my life. However, my community is built of both the people who are citizens and people who are undocumented as well. And I'm actually fortunate enough to be part of the program DACA, which has been a lot of controversy over the past couple of years. So that's been pretty difficult. And in relation to that, just for the audience, DACA, people who are DACA and people who are undocumented, we can't vote, because we're not citizens, unfortunately. And so, but besides that, we still, pay taxes and contribute to the economy and all that fun stuff. But at the end of the day, in big decisions like this, I know myself and a lot of my close family and friends who aren't able to vote, we feel pretty much helpless. And one of the things that I do to combat that is, talking to whoever I can, whoever's willing to listen, by why their vote matters, why they should vote. For example, my friends, a couple of them the last election, they actually didn't vote. And so whenever, something comes up, whenever they see like, oh, Max, I'm sorry that your DACA renewal has now been limited from 2 years to 1 year. And, that kind of stuff, I always rebuttal with, okay, well, that's what you're going to vote this year, right? And so I want to thank everybody here who voted. You don't know how much that means to me and my community, because you guys, we can tell you we can tell you, every day, but at the end of the day, it's your guys' actions and generosity that you're going to vote and use your voice. And that's something that me and the undocumented community want to just say thank you. I want to thank you so much for using your voice. Definitely fighting for us, because it's not fair how my people are being treated. Our people are being treated. And the only way to do that is, I think, to get somebody new in charge. Either way it goes, we already lived through 1 to 4 years of Trump one time. So, if that happens, then so be it. Let it come. That's fine. Because, we won't stop, and we'll continue on. Everybody's going to continue fighting the good fight. But thank you, everybody. That's my main message. Thank you for taking your part.
Max, thank you so much for your vulnerability. And, I feel so blessed to be able to have watched you through some of your educational process. And, I'm just going to remind you that you've been here before and so allow that to serve as a reminder for all of us. All of us have been here before in some form or fashion. We may not be a DACA student, right? We may not be coping with trauma. We may not be worried about our family members specifically and their safety, but all of us know what it is to experience challenges. And, Max, I remember when we were trying to figure out how to get your tuition paid for, and this will make me cry. I remember when we were trying to figure that out and that got resolved on our campus. So, and that seemed so huge because the amount that you had to pay was remarkable, so you also know what it is to kind of feel taken care of and to have this hand just swoop in and for us, all of us, to mobilize to take care of you. So you are more gracious than you're such an example of graciousness and thanking us for supporting you, because you give us way more than we have ever given you.
We had, I think, a really important question come up from Raquel Gonzalez. She said, what are your tips for those of us who are so emotionally invested in the outcome? We know God is in control, but there is a very human anxiety in us all. And Max, I feel like you answered that question without even knowing that it was coming up. And just your way of being, your way of tomorrow, right? Tomorrow is another day and we're not going to give up and we're going to continue. But I think if anybody has any other thoughts on this, or if you want to reinforce, Max, the answer to that question. So what do we do when people are emotionally invested in the outcome?
I will say it's okay to admit that you're emotionally invested, right? Because everybody is just because we have faith in God don't mean we not invested, right? We human, we feel this right now. When my daughter came down here and showed me that phone, I saw it all in her body, right? And that's not something that I can sit up and just say, oh, get over it, God will be there, right? But the one thing we can do is love on one another in this moment and love on, call somebody, check on. If you see somebody, especially if you see somebody on the internet that's talking about taking their lives or anything, because people are really at a desperate place right now. So that people know I'm a suicide survivor, which is where my writing comes from. I poured myself into my music, into the art of writing, into poetry, and into helping others. So in that moment, when you see somebody who's reaching out, even if it seems simple, talk to them, call them. Even if you don't have the words, you don't have, sometimes it's not about words. It's about, hey, what you watch on TV today? Hey, what, just get their minds off of it. And there's no perfect answer, right? Most definitely, if you see them, get them to some help, talk to them, counseling, whatever, right? But no way to say don't acknowledge it at all. Please don't think we're saying don't acknowledge it.
Thank you, Bernina. Anybody else want to add?
I think the emphasis.
I'm just going to
just
speak from a very vulnerable spot. And I don't know if I'm going to answer the question by saying this, but I will first and foremost admit that I'm emotionally invested in the outcome of this election, only because I feel like there are so many issues that I feel like 4 more years of this administration just scares the hell out of me when it comes to equity, when it comes to our democracy, when it comes to people of color, when it comes to social and racial justice, that I don't know if our country could withstand another 4 more years of the divisiveness, the rhetoric, the policies, the everything. But I go back to the passing of my mother, which I don't think any human being can deny that they're not emotionally invested in the loss of a parent. And Bernita, to your point, the thoughts of suicide ran in my mind because I was such a mama's boy and I could not see a future for myself without my mother in it. And I am here on January 29th of next year, 10 years later. And And I have never been more close to my father than I have ever been in my life. My mom was my rock, my everything, my confidant, my sanctuary. And my father was just, he was the man, he was the provider. Our relationship was very transactional. And I look at the time that we've had together over the past decade, and we're closer now than we have ever been. And I don't know how anybody can find a blessing out of the loss of such a beautiful woman, but I felt like there was a greater power at play. And regardless of what tomorrow brings or a week from now brings in terms of this election, I feel like it's his plan and it will come to be.
So we'll have Camerina, and then Max, you can roll us out.
I just wanted to touch base on also what Bernita said about checking in and just even asking what's on TV. I know that we've all been very isolated. I don't know about you guys, but I have one friend that I talk to. But to hear from my other friends that I haven't heard from since before the pandemic has been a light that feels like it's like at the end of the tunnel. Like to hear from them and to hear that they're doing well and they're just thinking about me gives me a peace of mind as well. I'm very grateful for my one friend that I talk to all the time and her family, but I also have like other relationships around, and as well as checking in on other people like myself. But I just think it was a good piece of advice. It doesn't always have to be how is your mental, how is your situation, just how are you? What did you have for lunch? It can mean a lot to some people, and I've been there as well. So thank you for even mentioning that, Ms. Benita.
Thanks for that, Camerina. Building off of that, I think it's super important that you have a support group where you can allow yourself to be vulnerable, allow yourself to decompress, and just live in that moment, in that happiness that you're spending time with either your friends or your family. I know that's what gets me through all of my hard days, just having a spot where I can just kind of just be there. Not really active, not really just be there and kind of let the good energy kind of flow into me, whether it be among my friends groups, my family. So I think that's super important. That's what I'm going to be doing after this, spending quality time with my friends and family via online party chats, as well as, heading to the dinner table later. I think that's absolutely important, especially through whatever roller coaster we're in for tomorrow and then the following weeks. Because already I'm seeing the tweets and the feeds about like people asking, "Hey, what outfit are you wearing for the Civil War next week?" And I'm like, "Oh no." So I hope it's not as bad as that. But in that case, I'm glad that I have the support groups I need to rely on, and I encourage everybody to really rely on your support groups.
Thank you, everyone. We just, you know what I love right now? I love how together we feel. You know what I mean? I love like the glue, and I think that there's no magic that occurred, just short of the fact that we were vulnerable, we're sharing and giving of ourselves, right? And we are connecting to one another because of our shared experience. And if we don't discuss it, right, we don't know that. So thank you to each and every one of you for coming on. We want to kind of start to bring in our next group. So Marisol, I'm going to ask you for your help to do that. Also, you guys remember, like stay in and like read the comments, because you have people writing things to each and every one of you, and please feel free to share and respond. So as we have this next group coming in, Marisol was able to kind of open up and introduce what this election means to her. And, I want to share that I woke up excited. And so even before the show started, we were backstage talking to everyone. I will admit, you guys, that like I am Pollyanna. It takes a lot to like get me down. It takes a lot for me to, to rain on my parade. But I woke up thinking about my dad today, and I woke up, I'm the child of immigrants. And so my father's from Cuba, my mom's from Guatemala. And so since I was an adult, around every election time, my dad would have a conversation with us about how special it was to live in the United States. These are probably the few days that I feel the most American, for whatever that means, right? And I think it says a lot that there's other days that I don't feel that American. But he would kind of highlight the fact that this process of voting is relatively safe. I think in some ways it's more unsafe this year or this term than others. And that this transfer of power, right? The way that occurs, that somebody doesn't just come into your home, right? And attack you, right? Or come in with a gun, because that's real. That's real for some of the countries that some of us are from, or that our ancestors and our lineage is from. So I woke up with that, and I've been talking to my very critical friends, right? Or just like, and they've been asking me, how are you happy? That's why, because I still look at it as an opportunity for us to participate, and the doorway, right? We're entering the doorway of hopefully consistently participating in further elections and just in this process, right? So I'm able to pull on that excitement. And also, just because I experience that doesn't mean everyone else has to, right? I need all you critical social justice warriors and all those folks to kind of come in and do the other work. And I'll come in and, pump you guys up and hopefully make you feel good, right? So there's a place for all of our reactions. Okay. So for this next set, right, we have 3 participants, 3 guest panelists. I don't even know what to call you. Like, you're all amazing and awesome. 3 folks, right, that are going to share with us both the ways that they are coping with this election and what is important to them, right, in this electoral process. So we have Kaya Kessler, we have Dr. Adi Carson, and we have Mr. Harold Branch, eventually going to be a PhD. I'm just putting it out there and claiming it for you since you started, right? I'm going to call you doctor next time. How is everyone? Hello, how are you doing? Let me let you unmute and just kind of come in and say, hey.
How you doing, everybody? Doing well, right? Doing well, and happy to be navigating this interesting terrain that we're in right now. So,
hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on your program, and it's so nice to meet all of you.
Peace to everybody. Likewise, I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Yeah. And, because you all are coming in this next set, right? You don't know Marisol, so also kind of wanting to make sure that everybody kind of gets to meet one another. Harold, I think we cut you off a little bit. So why don't we have you kind of start us off with how it is either that you are coping or working your way through this election, and who are you representing, and what is it that you have to offer us?
Without a doubt, no, thank you. Harold Branch, HB, as you were said, doctoral student. Is performance psychology, trainer, facilitator, dad, and a poet. Spoken word artist for about 25 years now. And what do I represent? I'm a Black man in not just America, but in Arizona, where it's a serious race right here. This is really, I've always feel like my vote counts. At least it matters whether it counts or not, but it matters to me and my people. But this year is something else. There's a potential to flip the state of Arizona, and so that's an exciting time. But have some concerns. Obviously, like everyone, it's been a hell of a roller coaster ride these last 4 years, and some of our communities are used to being uncomfortable, and we've seen that discomfort expand to communities that's not used to it. So things are in the ring. Things are just wild, and everyone doesn't know how to handle it. And you got the mental health challenges, and then of course we got COVID, and we got the necessary protests going on. So, my concern has been for a while, especially as a dad, the safety aspect, seeing white supremacy increase. But it's also, when I really think about it, is hopelessness. And the feeling of hopelessness that so many people are just dealing with right now, because hopelessness turns into give up, which turns into, and when you give up, you're barely alive. And that's the challenge. Now you're just walking around and you're just going through the motions. but you're not engaging and giving your soul. So that's definitely been a concern of mine, and something been trying to help through Facebook Lives and through conversation, and to give that hope back and remind people who they are and who our ancestors are and all the things we've been through, so we can tap into that strength of the ones that come before us, because we're gonna, whatever happens, it's not, if we can make it, it's how we gonna make it. And so let's figure that piece out. So that's kind of where I'm coming from and my perspective on everything.
I appreciate your Harold. Yeah, that's another part of something that I was saying earlier, that I think one of the things that does allow me to kind of have at least a positive focus is that I see this as being one moment in time, right? This is one moment in time among many others. And as you said, like all of us, we really do. We come from like a group of people that are able to endure, that know how to endure, are resilient, have faced much worse. And so kind of not allowing one moment to kind of shape all of our emotional center is a good practice, regardless of whether it's an election, right, or regardless it's an everyday circumstance. So thank you for that reminder. Kaya, I wanted to bring you in because I know that that's what some of the conversation that we were having earlier.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to meet everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me here this evening. My name is Kea Chekala Pajutawia na Ampoe Chakpiwi. It means little turtle medicine. My sacred name and spiritual name is Morning Star Woman. I'm Ogallala Lakota. I'm from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And I was raised on the reservation until the age of 18. And I decided to take a big adventure, and back then it was safe. I hitchhiked as an 18-year-old by myself all the way to California. And to make a long story short, I met my husband. We've been married for 50 years now. And I have a son who lives here in Arizona, and I have a son who lives in California. Both of them are married to wonderful, wonderful people. And I have 4 beautiful grandchildren. I live in Gilbert, California, and my community is made up mostly of the Native community, and also the organization, the Siwa Pakli Collective, a women's collective based out of Phoenix, Arizona, is my family. And I'm so grateful for each of the women who have held me, nurtured me, supported me, and I consider each participant in our collective a close part of my family. Right now, being that it's the election day, I have no fears. I've chosen in my life never to live in fear, but I am concerned. I'm a senior, and my husband and I live off of our Social Security, and I am concerned. I told my son before the election, I said, if Trump wins, I am worried that with the possibility of Social Security running out, that we simply will be on the streets. And of course, my family won't let that happen. But at the same time, I'm not just thinking of myself, but I'm thinking of all the seniors that don't have close family, that don't have somebody that can take care of them. And it's a real scary time for a lot of seniors right now, worrying about the pandemic. And really, like myself, I have very strict protocols of isolation, and I've stayed that way since March. Many of us have underlying issues at this point in our life, and so I've been very careful. But one of the things that I want to say is that right now I think about relationships, And I think about sacred relationships, and that is all that is. All the people of this world, whether it be two-legged, four-legged, winged, rooted people, the creepy crawlers, all of my relationships, my grandmother who raised me, who is a traditional Lakota medicine woman, and she spoke the language, she ran the ceremonies that were passed down from generation to generation. And first and foremost, I must acknowledge my ancestors whose shoulders I stand on. And I remember walking back in the 50s, we were self-sustaining on the piece of land I lived on. I lived in a one-room house with a dirt floor that was beautiful and comfortable and loving. And we would gather our food. It was before I knew that there was processed food. I didn't see a can of food until I was 10 years old. I thought, I didn't know they put food in a can. And one day, in walking down to the creek where we gathered many of the foods, my grandmother, I asked my grandmother about the water next to, the creek that we were near. And what she taught me was about relationships. And she sat down and began to tell me that what's important in that sacred law of relationship is between all things, all of our relations. And she said to keep those relationships healthy. But she said in order to do so, to keep yourself healthy. Keep your relationship begins with yourself, and to keep it healthy. And then through that health, your connection with your family, your community, your nation of people, that you will be able to hold integrity in the relationships you have. And because of this last 4 years, it has been a test for me to understand how so much division, injustice that has touched this nation, the United States, with so much pain and division between people. I was startled at the expression of so much pain when people began to protest Black Lives Matter, and I saw for my own eyes and my own heart to see that pain and that acknowledgement that people are suffering because of the injustice that we have from the beginning of this country developed, nurtured, and this president has fed the hatred and the pain to such a degree that we had to spill out into the streets. My relationship with all my relatives from all nations, all ages, all colors, all sizes, is one of respect and love and appreciation. And I say to those right now that have suffered the injustice, who are dealing with the pain and are afraid today because of the election, to take note of the fact the sun will still rise. The trees will continue to grow, and our children will be 1 year older, as will we. I think the most important thing is to remain calm, at love with yourself, your family, and your community. And that love will grow between us. That is our strength, is that we can see each other truly see each other. That I can see you and you can see me, and we have the common bond of making things right again. And to believe in new beginnings, because everyone that I saw on the streets told me there is a new beginning. There is the power of the people to stand together in unison for the good of everyone. And I think tonight, more than any other night, while people are feeling so anxious, I ask you to love your children that are in arm's reach, or a friend, or your partner, or your husband or wife, or brother or sister, or uncle or auntie, or grandmother or grandfather. If you're alone, hug yourself, love yourself. That you remember your ancestors and the strength that they have had, that they've given us to be able to live here today in the year 2020. Who did we come from? Who are our ancestors? That's who I am. And I hold their promise and their strength to survive this.
Kea, thank you. Thank you for sharing your history. Thank you for sharing your ancestors. Thank you for sharing the wisdom of your family. And thank you for also just sharing the vulnerability and the reality of how the last 4 years has not only impacted you, but has impacted both your people that you belong to in blood, and also our elders that we must take care of, that we must care for. So from my heart to yours, thank you for your words. And
if I can jump in, Kay, and you mentioned that, you're afraid of, what happens. I mean, where I live, I know where you live. Like, the collective's never going to let you fall. And so, especially with all the people that you've helped. So I know that you are being sincere, and I'm being tongue in cheek with you, but you also know that I mean that from the bottom of my heart as well. So, and that's because that's such a good example too, of like all of the relationships that we've built up, that hopefully folks are starting to build up or considering to build up, so that they have folks to look out for them. So thank you, Kay. I just wanted to jump in, and I feel like all of the collective would, slap me on the hand if I didn't say we got you.
And I know that you know that, because you quickly acknowledged you knew that your family would never let you down. But I want to go back to about 20 minutes ago when Camerina shared, I think that to me is a call for us to take care of elders. Between your words and Camerina's words, call, how are you? Remind them that they are loved and that they will be taken care of. So thank you, Kea. Thank you for that. And so I wanted to say hello to the future Dr. Branch, and also to AD Carson. And AD, I know that you're not feeling well, but I know also that we're going to be able to hear a gift of yours. So if you want to just introduce your gift, and I know that Enjolie is going to cue it up for us. Thank you for being
with us. No, thank you. I appreciate you having me. And also, I guess, I wanted to say that, I imagine that there's, quite a bit of anxiety around the election and everything that's happening tonight. I also think it's really important to think about what's happening tonight as a small part of the duty we have as people who are civically engaged. And so this is not, it's not the final point, and clearly it's not the starting point, but it is, a point. And I don't know, I'm not a person who tries to spin things more positively than they are. But I do believe that that's really important, because it can feel like all of the weight is on this particular moment, because we're in this particular moment right now. And I imagine that it felt that way 4 years ago for some people. And it probably felt that way over this past summer for a lot of folks. But I think also for a lot of folks who've been going nonstop because they've been profoundly affected in all of these really heavy ways for so long, it's a moment where folks are like, well, now I have people with me, because now folks are hearing and are seeing and are coming to a kind of awareness. And I think that that makes some folks who've been working hard for a really long time weary, because I think that it can be an incredibly tiring thing for someone to say, I hear you, I feel you, when, like what folks have been asking for a really, really long time is to be heard and to be felt and to be understood. But, there's nothing wrong with feeling that and expressing that and, kind of sitting with whatever that means in that moment. And so, again, even if I'm feeling bad, I'm not a person who's moving away from a moment that I don't feel well or that I don't feel good, because, my hope is that there are other moments. It's just this period right here where it feels as heavy as it does. And then there's another thing after that, and hopefully another thing after that. So the piece that I have here is also, I imagine it's kind of heavy, and it comes from, originally written during a time, well, of course, before now, but even before that election, because like what we know is what the piece describes as something that's been going on in this country for a really long time. And sadly, it's something that folks can assume will continue to happen, because we're still dealing with it this week as we're having an election. There are heartbroken families who are asking people to hold so-called authorities accountable for the kinds of things that happen to people under the cover of, like authority that is sanctioned, by the state. And so I guess I'll stop talking so much about it and then just like let it play. But
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do my best here, y'all, because I haven't shared the screen before using StreamYard. So let's see how this goes. Let's see. Let's see.
It goes, if I die in police custody, please ask questions, because though I sometimes speak out of turn and ask why more often than some folks care to entertain, I don't see me leaving an exchange with an officer so depressed and disconcerted that it would make me take me away from you. If you're told I resisted, please ask for evidence, because you and I know they're armed with everything from pepper spray to tasers, and taking that into consideration, anything that would make me move suddenly or do anything to escalate their use of force to my own final destination in that moment is less likely than what you'll find to be true. If they tell you how bad I was before then, please remain vigilant, because none of my past behavior should justify me leaving an interaction with law enforcement with the ultimate penalty enacted without the due process afforded others in courts of law. In fact, if law enforcement forces those who laws enforced impact, whose backs and torsos act as source code, hacked, and more so lack the morals tacked to moral acts, then go and ask if my blasting or maiming was more a result of semi-factual blaming than poor tactical training. And whoever's tasked with staffing and claiming credit for a job well done should be person number one to whom this query is posed. What I'm asking is for you to ask and keep asking if those sworn to protect and serve say to you that in order to properly execute their duties, it was necessary to execute me. And the truth is, you know it doesn't match up with the truth you know to be. It's likely because the truth that's in between the two is too inconvenient for those who have the power to speak it. And the way to honor me isn't to turn the other cheek. It's to ask again and again, again and again, why? And I'm telling you now to ask these questions then, because it seems to be happening far too frequently, and the trend is forcing me to err on the side of suspicion. And my only true defense against what may be inevitable, unconscionable as it should be to us all, is to hold whoever's at fault responsible, even if who's responsible is considered the law.
Thank you. Let's see. Sorry, y'all. Trying to navigate back. And sorry that I didn't show the full screen the whole time. My bad. I'll get you next time.
Good.
So do you want to give us more context, right? So obviously you set up that this is referring to past events, but that are still going on right now. Can you give us maybe even a little bit more for context of where this song came from?
Yeah. So that is track number 4. I just released an album called I Used to Love to Dream. And so in the context of that album, I think it fits quite a bit differently. Well, it's different than the story of the composition of the piece itself. But the album is a part of a series of projects that I wrote called Sleepwalking that were related to the album that I wrote for my dissertation in 2017. And so it's really all about, ideas of race and justice and citizenship and genres and what does it mean, the ways that humanity is either afforded or not to certain people, depending on the ways that they are perceived by others. And so this latest project is 8 tracks, and it's kind of about my hometown, which is Decatur, Illinois, and the space that I feel, the distance that I feel from that place, living here and working at the University of Virginia, and really having so few occasions to go home. And so it's not just the distance, the geographic distance between Virginia and Illinois, but it's also the distance between now and then. And the distance between now and whatever futures we might imagine. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the context for the project.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and it's such a, you're giving us another piece, right? You're giving us another piece of folks who are experiencing distance. That's what Kaya was talking to us about, right? Folks who are experiencing distance from their loved ones. And so it just happens to be wrapped up in your project, right? And the focal point to your project, but it's also really real for so many of us, right? Real for me, actually. I'm back home right now and I was just enjoying my family. And that was interesting to kind of feel that sense of home, but then have this be home, right? Arizona be home. I don't feel lonely yet because I just got off of a plane, but it'll be interesting to see how I respond. Go ahead.
I just want to jump in really quick because AD, thank you. Thank you for sharing your gift. And thank you for knowing your gift, for being open to your gift and sharing it. And what it reminded me of was that, and it really, what it's helping me do is it's reminding me and keeping me in the moment of the long game, and that we cannot stop. And it reminds me of what my motherhood journey has been, what my parenting journey has been. Being a mother, being able to carry, sustain, nourish, grow, and give light to life is the most amazing honor of my life. And it has been the most difficult journey. It has been the most difficult, gut-wrenching, hard work. But you can't stop. You got to keep showing up, and you got to keep digging deeper when you don't think you have anything left to give. And I think what your words brought to me was that that's what this moment is calling to all of us, is that we cannot stop. We have to keep digging into those parts of ourselves and those depths of ourselves, and calling on all of our ancestors, our spirit, our strength, to continue and to turn to each other, to our comadres, our compadres, our brothers, our sisters, to support us in this work. And it's really for all of the future, for my grandchildren. And so thank you for this moment of clarity for me. And I think also very like authenticity of like, okay, baby, like you can go ahead and take a break right now, but you got to show up and be ready. And we're going to go ahead and bring on the rest of our people who have stayed with us. Bernita unfortunately had to leave, but we wanted to start to just give final thoughts, give everybody an opportunity to share a final thought for tonight. And we wanted, of course, to offer Kea, if you wanted to have the first word, we wanted to make sure that we offered that to you.
In my language, big thank you to everyone, and the wisdom of song, poem, words, wisdom from the heart and truth have been really spoken tonight. And I take it all into my own life and my own heart and say thank you so much for sharing yourself and your truth with all of us. I think the last word right now is to love yourself, love your community and your family, and let that love be your strength. It'll take good care of you. It'll give you the power that you need to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because all of us, through our ancestors, have had to do that. And it's because they were able to do that, I'm able to do that. And so we will get through this together. No matter what the outcome is, we will hold together hand in hand and have the power and strength to use our voice, our vote, our ability to protest, and be able to say from our hearts to the rest of the world, we are here and we stand together united. So thank you.
Okay, you just got cited. So we just got cited in our comment section here. I also wanted to acknowledge Maria Carmen Baracano, who was on here earlier through Feed the Polls and also had to jump off. And so I just want to make sure that we name her for what she gave us. Is there anyone else that wants to come in and just kind of give your final thoughts of being here with us for this time frame, what you've gained or what messages you have for our audience?
I wouldn't mind chiming in. Can you hear me clearly, everybody? So first and foremost, honored to be this has been an honor. And Dr. Carson, amazing. You brought me to life with that piece. That was huge. I'm a Chicago boy myself. Tibby Zelango out of Illinois. You may know him as well. But yeah, just amazing piece. Family, we got work to do. Bottom line is, no matter who wins, no matter how tonight turns out, we got work to do, because at the end of the day, Trump didn't run around the country doing all the stuff that happened in these last 4 years. It was a lot of people that felt empowered to do the things they probably wanted to do the entire time. But the president created an environment where those impurities could come to the surface. So now we know how ugly things can be. And it's time to put a regimen in place. So no matter who wins tonight, the work has to keep going. and we have to really put pressure on the people that can make moves, that can make decisions. So that means if we have to work, there's no room for worry. Worry is an undefeated enemy. You don't beat worry. You have to just not engage with it. And so there's no room for worry. If you got to write a list of what you are grateful for to keep your spirit right, then do that. If you need to make a list of what you're concerned about and write down the little things you can do to contribute to the solution of those things so you can feel like you're moving forward. And it's important for us to remember everybody contributes in different ways. You got some people that are more outspoken than others. You got some people that's going to be, at the physical protest. You got some that's going to be here on Facebook helping to guide the emotions of those around us. So whatever your activism looks like, it's okay, even if it's being a great parent and guiding the shorties. So that's that. If I had a last word, it's time to go to work no matter what, because I would hate for Trump to be voted out and then everyone starts to relax and thinks things are solved, because they're far from solved.
And Harold, I want to encourage you to put in your information in the comment section, because I'm going to plug for you that you have been offering through Facebook Lives shows regarding kind of coping, right? Support mechanisms for people. And I think you're going to start and do that again starting tomorrow. Is that true? I don't want to speak for you.
We are tomorrow and at least for the rest of the week to help guys. So thank you. I totally forgot about that. I'm so excited about to be here. And so I definitely put that in a comment.
Who else? What other last words do you have for us, if any, right?
I can thank you for sharing that, Harold. HB, thank you for sharing that and tagging along with that in terms of there being work to do. Just remember, you guys, everybody watching, thank you for using your voice. And I just want to leave you reminding that always remember to use your voice, because I can guarantee you there's communities that can't vote, can't, really protect themselves via that. And yeah, thank you for your actions, and whatever happens, tonight and tomorrow and this coming week or two, we're going to do it together. So we've been fine for 4 years. We'll be fine for another 20. That's fine.
Camarina, I want to see if you have anything to say, because if not, I want to, kind of address both you and Max together.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, especially the wisdom group, for spreading the wisdom, for giving me a peace of mind, I want to say. Knowing that there's a bigger picture, because I was not thinking like that. I was very stuck in the now. So thank you for just reassuring me that it's just a moment in time, and we will continue as a unit, as a nation, to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. And I didn't mean to call you out, but I wanted you to get in there because I just want to address like the youth on our panel, right? And just how much you inspire me. Even my daughter was in here, right, in the comments section, and there have been other youth that have been commenting. I've said this to like so many youth that I'm close to, like, I will follow you, right? The example that you all have led or have given and that you've stepped up with, I will follow you, so there's no contribution too small. And I think even like if your voice shakes, even if your voice trembles as you're doing it, like I still want to follow you, so I want to just provide all of the encouragement that I can for you all. And thank you, coming in, because you really led us, you really started us off with like getting into that space of vulnerability, and the audience really responded to you. So I hope that you feel uplifted, right, with what it is that you shared with us. Okay. Anyone else want to share anything before we head out of here?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess there's just this last thing. If there's some parting words, there's this thing it's called a Black Love Poem because of Gwendolyn Brooks, but it says that I mean, I wrote it, but to honor her. That love is all about possibilities, and even more, love is revolutionary. And it can sound contradictory, love being the more natural condition of man and being revolutionary, but I have a theory. To love means to be a lover, and to be a lover, one recognize the intense emotions and affection that come as a result of that state, at which point movement occurs from the state of unknowing toward that which one loves. We can simply imagine it as turning. And if we turn a lover around, I mean, if you literally turn the word lover around, you have the beginning of revolution. And you have the beginnings of a revolution, and that love, that lover, that turning, that revolution is what my poetry is about. And I hope that we can all, find ourselves turning toward one another with love.
Thank you, Adi. So I have to tell you, you're the most brilliant friend I have, just so you know. So I appreciate so much just who you are. And I think you've already gotten some beautiful words of like acknowledging your talent. But I just want to acknowledge your brilliance. And so thank you for like, not even all that you've shared with us, all the work that you do. I really encourage all of you to look up his work and to know that he does so much more than even what he puts out. John, you're our last person. Like, do you want to jump in, or you just?
Yeah, I mean, just first and foremost, I'm just privileged to be a part of this broadcast. And like I had stated earlier, like I am superly emotionally invested in this election, and just watching it play out in real time. I've had the ups and downs and just physically and emotionally discouraged, but I do have to say, like, just listening to everybody on here, every single one of you through your words and the narrative have provided hope. And I think like hope is kind of like a spark, and it ignites a flame that just lights up the world. And so I just thank you for providing me this hope, regardless of what the outcome is. Yeah, and just privileged, and thank you all.
Marisol, I'm gonna say one more thing, and then you can like wrap us up all the way. I want to thank you, Marisol, too. So again, so beautiful. Like we don't get to sit like this together. We don't get to sit like this on the show together. We usually end up tag teaming. And so I was touched by your reaction to Edie's first poem, right? As you connected it to motherhood, because you're one of the people that supports me in my motherhood, right? In some of these very challenging times. So thank you for even just like being vulnerable enough to share that and show that with us. So I'm going to defer to you and have you close us out. Si quieres.
Okay. You know what? My computer's, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Is my sound okay?
It is. And I can help out if you need me to. Go ahead. All right. I think we're going to lose Marisol.
Yeah, this is what I want to say. I'm sorry. It's just that I'm. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Camerina, let me go over there.
All right. So you're going to see like kind of it's like when the Wizard of Oz, like they pull behind the curtain and they're in the same place, right? So we can't hear you yet, Marisol.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So Camerina's here in my house, but I wanted to thank all of you. As I shared earlier, we really were thoughtful about who it was that we wanted to come in and help us support our people at this time. There we go. Let me just switch this up. And I wanted to also, Adi, you got me again, because I think love is the most revolutionary act, and it's also the most difficult. And that's part of what my motherhood journey has taught me, because when you really love your children, you do the things that are the most difficult because you know that it's what's best for them. And I'm reminded that I have to dig into that love of like really loving our people, loving our nation, loving, even though, the promise has been betrayal, but loving this existence enough to dig down deep and to do the hard work, because I know that it's what's right. And I want to thank each of you for your time. Thank you, Enjolie, for bringing your amazing people into this shared space together.
thank you for just thank you for who you are in this world, each of you. And as a reminder, so we have a Facebook live show. I'll be on tomorrow night at this time. And Enjolie, the show's usually only 1 hour, but this is our special edition. And Enjolie will be on Friday. And so make sure that you catch us, and please have a beautiful night. Know that you are loved and know that you are cared for.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.